Greetings, legendary readers. Welcome back to Larry's Legendary Library, where I like to explore science fiction, fantasy, and other bits and bobs. Welcome to another Magazine Monday. Today we're going to look at Galaxy Magazine, issue number 263. For those who don't know, Galaxy was first published back in 1950, and it quickly became one of the most important science fiction magazines of its time. Under the editorship of Horace L. Gold, it set itself apart from other science fiction pulps by focusing less on rocket ships and laser guns and more on how science and technology would shape society, politics, and human nature. Writers like Frederick Powell, Ray Bradbury, Alfred Bester, Clifford D. Simak, C.M. Kornbluth, and others helped turn Galaxy into a powerhouse in the mid-century of the science fiction magazines. Alfred Bester's The Demolished Man, which went on to win the very first Hugo Award, was first serialized in Galaxy magazine. Over the decades, Galaxy changed hands several times. Eventually it faded, but it always carried a reputation for smart, idea-driven science fiction. And I saw that Galaxy magazine was re-released with this issue, and I was excited, and I've been trying to buy up the old issues of Galaxy. I've got about 37. I know it's a small, humble collection, but, you got to start somewhere. But when I saw that Galaxy was reissued with this current issue, I went ahead and bought it. And I've read a number of the stories in it, and I'll review them for you today. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out, galaxysf.com. In addition to the stories, there's some poetry and interesting artwork. The front cover by Bruce Pennington, the back cover by Paulo Sayeg, and then there's about a dozen smaller illustrations throughout the magazine. And to me, these certainly add to the enjoyment. In this issue, we have a fascinating mix of established authors and some newer talent, names I recognize and some names that I didn't recognize. First of all, we have David Gerrold, who gives us Praxis. Praxis is an excerpt of a novella that he has recently published. The excerpt came out before the novella was published, but Gerrold's been shaping science fiction since The Trouble with Tribbles on Star Trek. I have read and enjoyed his War Against the Couture series. I also have his Jumping Off the Planet trilogy in my library, and I hope to read that at some point. My TBR is awfully long. I'm not sure when I'll get to it, but it's definitely on there. Praxis is a story about Jamie and Jose who get into some legal trouble, and they basically have a choice between spending a lifetime in the labor corps trying but never being able to pay off their debt, or to go to the planet Praxis and work on building and developing this world far away. There's no opportunity to return. The kicker being that this world will be populated only by men and no women. Given that the title of the book is Praxis, it stands to reason that they choose the going to the planet over the labor corps. I don't know that it's fair to give it a rating based on an excerpt without reading the full novella, but I'll do it anyway. I rate it as L3 legit. It is worth reading. The world seems interesting. I was intrigued to see what happens, and I would be intrigued to read further on. I feel like Praxis will be just a jumping off point, and there will likely be other books in the series. If I come across a copy of the book, I'll pick it up, but I probably won't move it ahead of his other books that I already have on my TBR. If you're interested in looking it up, I'll put an affiliate link in the description. Next, we have Zdravka Evtimova, the short story called You Recognized Her, lyrical, an unsettling tale. Zdravka is a Bulgarian author, and her science fiction often explores identity and just strange and unusual things. This is my first introduction to her work. It tells the story of number 111, which is a strange and creepy planet. On this planet, they have certain cycles called leisure, and the landscape during leisure becomes fluid with mountains and hills erupting spontaneously around you in places that you can't predict. During leisure, there's no laws, there's no death, you can't die, and basically anything goes, and so it does. And knowing the baser instincts of mankind, it does get pretty insane. My L rating for You Recognized Her is L4 loaded. It is well worth reading. Zdravka creates a fascinating world that is also unsettling and disturbing, and I would definitely read her again. Gareth L. Powell delivers Dusk of the Dead, a short one-page story that seems to be a darker post-apocalyptic piece. He's known for his Ember of War series, which I haven't read yet. In the Dusk of the Dead, which I'm guessing is a nod to Dawn of the Dead, a zombie movie. And this story features just two characters, a human and a zombie, and their interaction. These zombies aren't like the zombies that we are traditionally introduced to. They don't run around trying to bite people. And as I said, it's a very short, very quick read. I rate it as L3 legit. It is worth reading. It seems to be trying to make a point using social commentary, which I'm certainly open to, but my preference is world building that is more compelling and characters that are more compelling. And this story is just too short to allow much of that. So my rating probably also reflects just the length, that it doesn't have the time to develop more to gain more of my interest. And then there's Constant Dawn by Eliane Boey, a rising star who blends Asian futurism, technology, and intimate character work. Constant Dawn is an abandoned starship, and our characters who work in salvage, they hope to retrieve this starship before a severe storm hits. This space opera focuses more on the characters and their relationships than the actual world building or the science fiction. And as such, it didn't really do much for me. Although for someone else that's more interested in character relationships, they might enjoy it more than I would. But for me, it is L2, low key. It had moments of interest, but it never really grabbed hold for me. And then finally, the last story I read, The Barrow King by Christopher Ruocchio. I read the first book in the Sun Eater series and really enjoyed it. I certainly plan to continue his series. Based on my enjoyment of The Empire of Silence, I was really looking forward to this story. And even in short form, this story doesn't disappoint. Science fantasy flair, mostly fantasy with swords and arbalests, definitely sword and sorcery vibes. There's a buried spaceship where the science fiction comes in, but that just plays a small part. There's a supernatural hero fighting for a gallant cause. Supernatural villains, great battle scenes. Of the stories I've read in this issue of Galaxy, I enjoyed this one the most. The world was richly developed despite the shortness of the story. I understand there are other stories featuring this protagonist which I haven't read, but I will certainly look for them. My rating is L4 loaded, and if I delve more into this world that he's created, I can imagine it moving up, becoming closer to L5 legendary. Have you read any of Ruocchio's Atom Man books? Do the other stories in his series hold up to the level of this one? If so, please let me know in the comments. Overall, I enjoyed my time in issue 263 of Galaxy. According to the editor, there's no firm schedule on future releases. They'll be released as, I guess, as they come up with the stories to fill out the magazine. I would certainly consider purchasing a further issue as they come out. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, stay legendary.